Hello, I'm Vinny Castro and welcome to the We Love Betting preview of 2013 ATP Rogers Cup Montreal Masters, which starts this Monday. I'm going to go through the draw and assess each quarter and hopefully can find us a winning bet or two. For those that don't know, Montreal is a Masters 1000 hardcourt event, and looking at the recent winners, it's been 10 years since someone who's not Federer, Murray, Nadal or Djokovic has won this tournament, and that was Roddick back in 2003. The current world number one Djokovic has won the last 2 years here, with Murray winning also back-to-back before Djokovic's run. The big news here this tournament is that Federer has dropped out of the event due to a back problem. However, he also has points to defend in the upcoming event in Cincinnati and none here in Montreal, which could be a factor for his withdrawal. As a result, Djokovic is the top seed, Murray second, Ferrer third and Nadal fourth. Looking at the first quarter, Djokovic has a bye to start with a potentially tricky match against Tomic, who recently made the last 16 of Wimbledon. However, Tomic has won just once in 6 of the top 10 players this year and has failed to get past the last 32 in his 2 appearances in Montreal. Istomin looks like Noel's next opponent, as Tip's Sarah has had an awful year and has played just 2 hardcourt matches since the Miami Masters in March. A quarter-final opponent could be Gasquet and Nishikori, 2 players who both have losing records against top 10 players, but Gasquet has never lost to a Japanese player, and he also reached last year's final, eventually losing to Djokovic. I fancy the Frenchman to progress, but then lose to the Serb once more, given the 8-1 head-to-head record and 4-0 in Djokovic's favour on a hard court. In the second quarter, 4th seed Nadal returns to action for the first time since Wimbledon with a bye, and the Spaniard has a nice draw into the quarters with big serve Wimbledon semi-finalist Jerzy Yao, and it's a danger. However, he's had arm issues and hasn't played a hard court match since March. Nadal has a 43-3 record from 10 tournaments since his comeback in February, having won 7 titles from 9 finals, but how will his knees hold up on such a demanding surface like a hard court remains to be seen. I expect the Spaniard to face a resurgent Tommy Haas, who's made the last 4 in Washington. However, Tommy is 1-7 against top 10 players this year, and Nadal is 5-0 over the German, with 4 wins coming on an outdoor hard court, so I expect the Spaniard to prevail. The third quarter sees third seed David Ferrer enter the fold, but his draw is a messy one. A bye to start, then a tricky serve and volley opponent in Lodra could ask questions. This is followed by Simon, who, despite having a 1-4 record to the Spaniard, has won their only hardcourt battle. If Ferrer gets past him, any one of Burdick, Isner and Anderson could cause even more problems. I'm happy to go against a player who's never got past the last 16 here. Burdick hasn't lost to Anderson or Dolgopolov, but Isner is a big threat. The American has just lost in the final at Washington, but he won the previous tournament in Atlanta. He also likes it here at Montreal, having made the semis here last year, so these conditions clearly suit his big serving game. I personally prefer Burdick compared to Isner, as he's made 2 quarterfinals, a semi-final, and a final on a hardcourt 1000 or Grand Slam event this season, with 3 of his 4 losses coming to Nadal and Djokovic, so it clearly takes someone special to beat Burdick at the moment on the hardcourt. In the final quarter, we see the current Olympic, US and Wimbledon champion Andy Murray. The Scot starts with a bye and then most likely Dimitrov, followed by the inconsistent Gulbis. Murray is 3-0 lifetime with 2 wins on the hardcourt, outdoor hardcourt via the Bulgarian and 5-0 via Gulbis, with the last 2 also coming on a hardcourt. Both of these opponents are only improving, and these games won't be easy, but it's hard to envisage Murray losing to either. His quarter-final opponents are likely one of Del Potro or Milos Raonic. The former has recently won in Washington, but also has a few question marks over his knee, whilst the latter is playing in his own country and incredibly motivated to do well here. Raonic and Del Potro never face each other, but given the Canadians 0-3 the top 10 players this year, given how well the Argentinians play at the moment, I would favour him in their matchup. Del Potro made the final in Montreal in 2009 and lost that to Murray. And the Scot has won 3 of their last 4 matches between the two on a hardcourt. However, their last match was won by Del Potro earlier this season, and Del Potro has the easier run before the potential matchup, and for me, the value lies with him. In the semis, we should get Nadal v Djokovic, which looks mouth-watering, but the Serb has won their last 4 on a hardcourt, and given Nadal's knee issues, plus he could be a bit undercooked here with match practice, I expect Djokovic to eventually have too much, plus he has Haas in his potential quarter-final game, which won't be easy for the Spaniard. In the other semi, I have Del Potro up against Ferrer or Burdick. If it's Burdick, he's beaten the Czech player in 4 of their last 5 matchups, 2 on a hardcourt. However, interestingly, against Ferrer, the Spaniards won their last 2 hardcourt matches and even won their grass court encounter at Wimbledon 2012. However, given that Ferrer's never made it past the last 16 here, I'm happy to assume Berdyk's going to be Del Potro's opponent, and the Argentinian clearly matches up well with his Czech counterpart. In the final, I favour Djokovic on a hard court. He's a beast and will take some beating, but Del Potro did just that in their last meeting on this surface at Indian Wells earlier in the year. However, Djokovic has won the 4 other encounters either side of that victory, including the epic win at Wimbledon just a month ago. Djokovic has won 3 of his 4 finals he's been in this year, compared to Del Potro's 2 from 3 after his recent Washington win. And interestingly, that Washington win is Del Potro's first outdoor hardcourt title since 2011. So he looks to be back to his best. At the moment. But given the previous records here, the draw, and just generally I feel Djokovic is playing on the hard court, I expect him to beat Del Potro in the final, and he would be my pick to win the Montreal Masters for a 3rd straight year. Unfortunately, due to many bookies not pricing up quarter winners for some reason, my bets are a little restricted here. But in summary, the bet of the week has to be Djokovic at 13-8 Betfred as a standout price to win, and he would be my big selection here to win this. I also like Nadal, Berdych and Del Potro to win their quarters, but Nadal's 1-2 on. I don't think there's much value there. Berdych is just under 2-1 at Paddy Power to win the 3rd quarter, so that's not too bad a bet. Meanwhile, Del Potro can be bad at 6-4 to win his quarter, or I actually prefer to have a bit more of that outrageous bet and take him at 8-1 each way as a general quote to win the tournament, as I think he really could get to the final. So that's it. Djokovic to make it 3 straight at Montreal, with Del Potro pushing him closely in the final. Thanks for watching. Good luck with your bets.